Here we are, it's almost Lent. I look forward to this time, and we'll see you on Wednesday. We're coming in the morning at 6:28, if you want to get up that early, 9 o'clock or 5:30, but it's time to begin. And I do look forward to this time. It's usually for me a time of retreat, a time of simplifying, a time of drawing near to the Lord, and maybe even a time to recalibrate. There's just been a lot going on, it seems like. A lot in my life. Work changes, family changes. I got kids launching, health issues with family members, just concerns, stresses of life. Not to mention, outside in the world, all the upheaval and change that's going on in our country and in the world, and concerns we might have there. It's a time, I remember this little jingle in kindergarten, to stop, look, and listen before you cross the street. But Lent is that. It's a time to stop, look, and listen. Yesterday I had to stop. I was at a funeral. Our principal's at the school, her mother passed away, and so we had a funeral yesterday. And then I'm there just kind of looking at the casket and meditating, prioritizing. And the homily was really good, and it was an honest homily. She was a woman who loved the Lord, but also had a lot of worries and a lot of things, had perfectionism. It just kind of dogged her for a long time. And the scriptures were very appropriate. They were there to remind us that we don't need to worry, that the Lord takes care of us, and to put things in perspective. Now, the scriptures today, first of all, challenge us as we go into Lent. The blind leading the blind. And when I hear that passage, I could say, oh, I know who that is. I know who that is. They need to pay attention to that. But then I'm reminded that Jesus is calling us not to judge. He's calling us to take a look at ourselves. And I know I can be judgmental. Father knows I can be judgmental. I was just at confession Saturday. And that's kind of one of the things that keeps coming up. You know, how I get short with people, or sometimes when things don't go my way or my expectations aren't met. I can be like that. Sometimes we do it. We can be judgmental, not even being aware of it. You know, we have, there's a story of this priest. He went, to visit Mother Teresa's mission. And he was telling all his people, here, we're going to be the hands. We're going to be hands and feet of Jesus to these people. Mother Teresa walks in. No, you're not. She says, when you go out, you're going to find Jesus in the people you serve. Really turning that one around. So judgmentalism, that's part of it. Then there's the thing about take that log out of your own eye. First, before you get that splinter out of the other, the log in your own eye. Jesus is really hard on people. The people he was talking to, although they were the religious, they were you and I. It was about, we got to take a look at ourselves first before we help other people. I was talking with one of my daughters, Elise. She had kind of wandered down into my office in the basement. I love doing whiteboards, and I put things on there. I put my goals, I put things I'm working on. And she says to me, Dad, and she likes doing this thing called vision boards. She says, Dad, I was just looking down there, it's kind of like I'm in this vision board thing. But I said, Dad, you compartmentalize. I'm like, what do you mean? She says, well, you got your family here, you got your work here, you got your diaconate, and you got your spiritual life here. And she says, why isn't your spiritual life across the whole thing? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is all together, but sometimes I do make goals on specific areas. But she had a point. Because we can do that too. We can compartmentalize our lives. We live one way here, but another way somewhere else. Our private life is different than our public life, and our faith is meant to be private, right? No, it is across all of our lives. It's how we are to live. She's right. And that's what he's talking about. When we compartmentalize and we leave things in our life that we don't let the Lord have hold on, be it our sin, our weakness, our anger, our judgment, our broken relationships, we really need to let the Lord into those things. And this is what confronts us when we come to Lent. So those first two passages were the challenges of Lent. And that second passage from Corinthians would be the hope of Lent. Again, I was at that funeral yesterday, looking at the casket. And the passage reminds us, when this which is corruptible clothes itself with incorruptibility, and that which is mortal clothes itself with immortality, then the word is written shall come about. Death is swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? Jesus has given us victory over this world. Jesus has overcome whatever worries we have, whatever faults that we have. If we are worried and concerned, this will pass. Our hope is in Him, and we want to draw near to Him and see things with open eyes like He sees them. You know, as I was at the funeral, I'm looking and my imagination kind of goes on, and I'm kind of imagining, you know, like this bright light coming in and just shadows just sort of like floating away, and the room filling up with the color and the creation of God. If we could see things as God does, if we could see ourselves as God sees us, all these things we worry about don't matter. The things that we judge about don't matter. So as I began Lent, we need to stop, look, and listen. It's a time for us to do that and to draw near to the Lord, to allow the Lord to show us the immensity of His love, the truth of His victory in our life, the intimacy that Jesus wants to share with us as we hear the Scriptures today, and as we will even share in His own body and blood that He gives us every week, every time we come here. This is really good. And that we can know how God sees us and loves us, even the very hairs of our head. Amen.